So let me go ahead into my open. Alright, we're going to go with the good old-fashioned cupcake. Okay, so this cupcake right here, I don't want all this white space around it, so I'm going to go to this eraser tool right here. When I click on it, this magic eraser will just delete all the colors that I click on. So if I'm clicking in the white, it'll delete all the white. If I was clicking in the pink, it would delete the pink, etc. and so on. So I'm going to just delete this outer white. And the problem with that is it deleted a little bit of the icing up top. So I'm going to hit Control Z, which is going to undo that. I have to delete the layer. I can't erase on a background layer because it's locked. So I'm going to just duplicate the layer to background copy and then throw away the background copy, or the original background rather, and work in this background copy. Now that it's not locked, I can work in it. So it looks like this is around the top here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Get over here and go upwards with that. And there's a reason I'm doing this. The reason is this. I'm trying to draw a line around where it looks like that should be. And the purpose is, I'm going to zoom in. I'll show you the purpose in a second, but let me zoom in. When you zoom in, you can literally zoom in to like the actual pixels by pixels, okay? Use this arrow to shrink that. So now I can go into my eraser tool and I can actually get at the exact line where those pixels end, which is going to make it look a lot cleaner of a texture, okay? And there's some white space in the back that looks like I could probably miss a little piece there of the white. So what I'm going to do is create another layer, slide this cupcake to the top. On this layer, when I click on it, just for contrast purposes, I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool, and on this background layer that I just created, I'm going to use black and do this. Now it shows me exactly that I did leave a little piece of white here, I left a little piece of white there. It doesn't have to be black, it could be anything that's a good contrast for when you're trying to work. But this is a way for me to help modify this texture and bring it in to create a pattern with it. This is going to be super important when you start working. So this jagged edge is okay, it's just pixelated because it's shrunk down and, expanded up where I'm seeing every little thing. So I'm using my little eraser here, and I'm just trying to create what looks like will be a pretty good rounded line for that icing at the top, so that I don't have a cupcake that has a chunk of icing missing out of the top of it. Now I can go back to my magnifying glass, and instead of having that magnification with the plus sign in the middle, I'm going to hit Alt, and now it becomes a minus key so I can zoom back out. And while I'm holding my Alt key, I'm going to hit the mouse and zoom back out by clicking. As you can see at the top, there are some more spots that I should erase. Back into my eraser I go, erase those, back to my magnifying glass. I'm going to zoom back out again. As you can see, when I zoom back out, it looks like I have a pretty clear line with that icing. I'm going to call that good. And now, when I go back to my eraser and hit Magic Eraser tool, it will delete the white on this, and now we're looking pretty good. There's a little spot up there. I can actually probably just see if I can click on that. And yeah, I was able to. So that took care of that. Now once it goes down, by hitting my Alt key, I'm going to zoom down even more. You can see that that looks pretty good. And it's actually just by itself. There's no black. So when I go ahead and I click on my Move tool, click on my cupcake. As you can see, the cupcake layer is selected in my layers. So I'm going to click on this with my little pointer, and I'm going to drag it over to that first box where we've been working on patterns. And as you can see, it's gigantic! So I'm going to hit Control T to transform it. And it looks like I need to move it over to find that corner. So this is just moving it. It's only when you click on those boxes that it changes the shape. So you can move it to find that corner. Now that I found my corner, I'm going to make sure I'm holding my Shift key, and I'm going to shrink it down. And then move it back to the middle, hold my Shift key, shrink it down. Hold my Shift key, shrink it down. And let's see, it looks like I've got it. I think that this is off in the middle. We'll just leave it there right in the middle. It looks like it's centered to me. Hit my Move tool to apply that. And now over here I have my little red button that shows me this is my seamless texture button. And I'm going to hit Tile. And now I've created another seamless texture. Okay? So I'm going to hit Pattern, and I've created that pattern. That actually not only creates a pattern, but you can actually make seamless textures and sell them. You can put them on, there's plenty of websites out there actually that sell seamless patterns, like stock photography websites and things like that. So what you would do if you wanted to get involved with making seamless textures or selling them or whatever, there are royalty-free images, and if you go to Google image search, there should be a drop down for royalty-free images, and any royalty-free image you can take and turn it into a seamless texture, and which has been altered now, and you can actually use it to sell it and create a huge library of seamless textures to sell online, whether it be on Second Life or on photography sites. There's multiple sites that sell business sort of things like this for people who are setting up businesses. So there's that. Okay, this is one way to do it. So you now have this pattern that you've defined, right? Seamless texture. And now I want to show you what it looks like when we go in and we define it onto a palette. So let me just pretend all that's not there, okay? And the background I'm going to duplicate. This is not normally how we would do things, but just for demonstration purposes, I have now another layer. I didn't actually duplicate it, I made a new layer, okay? So this new layer is back as a blank layer. There's nothing on it, okay? Forget about this part for now. What you're going to do is you're going to need to start out by using your paint bucket and putting white canvas on there. A pattern will not work on a transparent layer. A pattern will only work on something that has a white background or other color background. It could be any color. But usually that'll affect things in a negative way if it's a different color. Sometimes it actually works to an advantage though. It really is a case-by-case thing, and you should play with things and get creative. Anyway, for this particular demo, we're going to use a white background, go to Effects, Pattern Overlay. Now we've already defined our pattern, so we're going to find it here at the bottom, and then we're going to work with scaling, and this should be fun. Now we have a lot of cupcakes. so that's cute, right? A lot of cupcakes there. Okay, and there's a lot of things you can do. Once you have a pattern, there's a lot of things you can do to make them pop. I'm going to go over that in a different video, but this is just to let you know that you can make these really cute little patterns, okay, and change the look of the pattern. What you're going to also want to know is that for some reason in my experience, when I have a pattern in here, it seems that, I don't really know why, but it seems like it doesn't stay there. So what I would do if I were you is make sure you save your seamless patterns. So if I just go to 100%, okay, this is our original seamless result. So at that point, you want to go to File, Save As. And at this point, I would make a little folder, whether it be on your desktop or in your documents, wherever you are comfortable putting it, and do a new folder. And I would label it Seamless, or your seamless textures, whatever you want to call it. Open it up, and you could save it as a ping, you could save it as a targa, you could save it as a JPEG. I typically save them as pings. Make sure that you change the name, and you would want to put maybe scrapbook, paper, cupcake. I like to give it a lot of really good details in my descriptions because you're probably going to make more than one cupcake pattern if you're somebody who likes to make that sort of pattern of cupcakes. So to give it a good detail, whether it be the color or whatever, do that. And then save. Compression, I do none. No compressing. We don't want that flattened. Interlace, I usually leave it none. I'm not even really sure what that means, but I don't want nothing changed. So I'm just going to hit OK. And now I know that I can find that pattern in my desktop. Seamless. Here it is. So now that I have my first seamless pattern saved in there, you could do the same thing with your kitten pattern or whatever patterns you're going to make, but then you'll always be able to find them. And if you want to work with them in Photoshop, I'll show you how to do that. So let's just close all this out. I'm not going to save anything. Not going to save anything. No, no, no. Because we're going to save it. We already saved everything. As far as like, I already took you through how to do all the saving, so I'm not going to do that again. Alright, now I want to work with that pattern. So, let's see. File, New, 1024. And let's just say for argument's sake that I tried to go into, let's duplicate. I usually do this, duplicate, and then throw out the background that's locked. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to make some kind of clothing. So let's call this t-shirt. Okay, and I want to apply a pattern to it. Let's just say for argument's sake that it's not in our patterns anymore. It tends to like go away every time I close Photoshop and reopen it. And I don't want you to be like, where's my patterns? So that's why you already saved your pattern. So you're going to go to Open, and you're going to find your Seamless folder and pull out your scrapbook paper cupcake pattern. And then in order to bring it back into your patterns, you're going to go to Edit, and you're going to go to Define Pattern. And there's the name of your pattern. You hit OK. And now you're going to open it up when you go to Pattern Overlay and see it's in here again. Pretend this one is not in here. You're in this one again. So this one is now there. So you were able to bring it back in. So that's a way to ensure that you don't lose your patterns. Save it. Once you have created your seamless pattern, you go to File, Save As, and you're going to save that into a folder.